1H was Hialmar's bedtime. He gathered up all his toys and put them neatly away in the big cupboard. Then he yawned sleepily and hopped into bed. Hardly had he closed his eyes when the window was pushed slowly open, and a funny little old man with long white whiskers and spindly legs came into the room. He carried an enormous umbrella. He tiptoed over to Hialmar's bed and peered at him over the edge of the covers. He muttered, everything's in order. He's asleep on time and his room's neat and tidy. Hialmar opened one eye. Who are you? He said wonderingly. Ole Lukoie, the little old man answered in a small rusty voice. Get ready if you want to go. Hialmar was wide awake now. He began to understand. Ole had come to take him on an adventure. Where are we going? He cried excitedly. Ole Lukoie looked around the room. On the wall, in a gilt frame, was a picture of tall trees and a winding river that ran through green meadows. That will do, said the little old man. Then flipped open his umbrella and held the handle towards Hialmar. Hang on, he cried. No sooner had Hialmar gripped the handle than he found himself being whisked across the room, through the frame and into the middle of the picture. He was standing in the meadow. A warm breeze rustled the top of the tall trees, and a little red boat with silver sails bobbed up and down at the water's edge. As Hialmar stepped into the boat, it glided noiselessly away over the smooth water. Gaily colored birds flew above him. They flapped their wings so close to him that the breeze helped fill the sails, and the boat sped along even faster. Hialmar looked down into the water. There were hundreds of fishes with scales of silver and gold swimming after him. They were the most beautiful fishes he had ever seen. They would leap right out of the water, turn a fancy somersault, then dive back in again. They seemed to enjoy it. While Hialmar was watching all these wonderful things, a mermaid came shimmering to the surface and clung to the side of the boat. She swished her tail gracefully and smiled up at him. In her hand, she held a garland of seaweed. She reached over and dropped it around Hialmar's neck. Hialmar blushed. He tried to thank her, but somehow the words just wouldn't come out. Other mermaids were swimming around the boat now. One of them sang a soft note, and suddenly the air was filled with music so sweet that the nightingales in the far-off woods stopped to listen. Past mossy banks speckled with primroses and violets under the shady boughs of drooping willows, then out into the open again, and over a gleaming waterfall sailed the little boat. There were tiny islands dotted about, glowing with brilliantly colored flowers. Here and there tall castles rose up, reflecting their beauty in the water. They were made of glass and burnished gold. Just as Hialmar passed under a golden bridge, he noticed a lonely gray tower standing at the water's edge. I wonder who lives there, he thought. If you're really interested, I could tell you, whispered a small voice behind him. Hialmar looked round and saw a funny little green and yellow frog sitting in the stern of the boat. But it wouldn't do you any good to know. The frog went on, and it wouldn't do me any good to tell you either, because if the black horseman found out that I had given away his secret, he would turn me into a stone. With that, he let out a frightened croak, hopped back into the water, and disappeared. Now, locked up in a room in the top of the tower was a beautiful princess. Her only companion was a snow-white pigeon. Day after day, the princess sat weeping and waiting for someone to rescue her from the black horseman who held her captive. She looked through the bars of her little window and saw Hialmar. He was gazing up in her direction. The princess hastily scribbled a note and gave it to the pigeon. Deliver this to him at Once, she whispered hopefully, he may be. The prince who has come to save me. In a twinkling, the snow-white pigeon was, winging its way down towards Hialmar.
And it wouldn't do me
far.
any good to tell you either, because
Below,
if the black
it
horseman
dropped the
found
message
out that
at
I
his
had given
feet.
away his secret, he would turn me
Hialmar
into
picked
a
it up
stone.
and read it. A princess. In distress, he exclaimed. I must go to her. Rescue. It won't be at all easy, said the pigeon, who had perched itself beside him. As a matter of fact, it's against all the rules for anyone but a real prince to rescue a princess. What does it matter who rescues her? Said Hialmar. A maiden in distress is a maiden. In distress. Well, now that you put it like that, said the pigeon, I'm inclined to agree with you, if you are really quite sure you want to go on. This adventure, I think I can manage the details. Of course I'm sure, answered Hialmar. Bravely. Then the snow-white pigeon mutters magic words, and Hialmar was suddenly surprised to see that he was dressed like a prince. A sword hung from his waist. Before he could say a word, he found himself mounted on a noble horse, charging full tilt towards the tower, straight through the heavy walls. Plunged horse and rider, Hialmar shut his eyes as massive stones came tumbling down all around him. It was dark inside the tower, but Hialmar wasn't a bit afraid. He rode in and out of the big halls, searching for the staircase that led up to the princess' prison room. The clatter of his horse's hoofs on the marble floors echoed like claps of thunder throughout the tower. There must be some way to get to the top of the tower, thought Hialmar. At one end of a long hall hung with ornaments made of spun gold, Hialmar came to a door. It was studded with precious gems, so dazzling that he could hardly bear to look at it. The door was as high as the ceiling and as thick as the heavy stones on which it was. Finished, Hialmar dismounted, drew his trusty sword, and struck at the door with all his might. Immediately it flew open. The sparkling jewels changed into bluebirds and flew happily around Hialmar's head. Snares sang. Of the forest. I must have broken near that house. Then prisoners, Hialmar thought. Now I will find the
feel
princess
so much better
and
now,
release her.
thanks to you. Won't
He
you have
walked
something
towards a
to
narrow,
eat?
winding
Help
stairway
yourself, it's all free.
That led up to the top of the tower.
Up yourself,
A loud,
you are free.
hissing noise
Won't you
came
have
from somewhere
something to
behind.
eat?
Soon, the air became hot and smelled strong sulfur. I've been expecting no, Hialmar turned quickly and saw that he
I feel so much better
was face
now,
to face
thanks
with
to
a
you.
terrible dragon.
Won't you have something
It
to eat?
was snorting with rage. Hialmar gave his sword and rushed at the dragon. Down came the sword. There was a blinding flash, followed by a puff of white smoke. When the smoke cleared away, the dragon was sitting down, purring like a kitten and smiling. I feel so much better now, thanks to you. The dragon said, won't you have something to eat? Popcorn popped out of his nostrils into a basket filled with butter, which was hung around his neck. Huge slices of chocolate, cake, and dishes of ice cream were stacked in shelves along his back. I scolded
Who goes
him.
there?
Poured out of his hands. Help yourself, said the dragon. It's all.
I have rescued the king's
Free.
daughter.
Hialmar
You shall
was
be
tempted
justly
to stop
rewarded
and
for
eat.
your brave deeds. I dub
He
thee.
thought of the little princess, locked in the tower. I can't stop now, Hialmar said.
Halt!
I have to.
I was
Rescue the
there. I am
He ran up the winding stairs. At the
Halt! The
top,
king
he saw the
goes
fearsome
there.
black horseman. His
I am Hialmar,
spear
and I
raised
am
high.
rescued. Halt! Who
Hialmar
goes
bravely
there?
grabbed the spear.
I am Hialmar. I
one
rescued
hand
your daughter.
and pulled the horseman to the
Halt!
ground.
Who go? Who
With a
goes
terrific
there?
flash, the black
And
horseman
I see your daughter.
broke into a
I dubbed
thousand little
halt. Who
pieces.
goes there? Why
Stone
there?
floor.
Who
Hialmar rushed past him into the tower.
Halt!
Room. The happy
Who
princess
goes
swung
there?
herself into.
I am here.
His arms.
Unlocked. The
We must get out of here at
halt.
once.
Who goes
Hialmar
there? Why there?
said. He seated the princess on his horse, leaped
Halt!
into the saddle, and dashed
Halt,
away
who's there?
out into
You shall be the
The knight
string
flew the
soy
gallant
double
charger.
to the...
Over the treetops, over the roofs of houses they sailed. At last I am rescued.
Halt!
The
Who
princess
goes
said.
there?
Joyfully,
I am
hold on
Embark, my
tightly,
daughter.
cried Hialmar over his shoulder. I will return you safely to your father the king. Hialmar reined up his horse as he saw the royal palace, like a tiny speck far below. Down, down, down they sailed until the horse finally came to a stop right outside the palace gates. The captain of the guard came out to meet them. Halt, who goes there? He demanded curtly. When Hialmar told him who he was and that he had rescued the king's daughter, all the soldiers threw their hats in the air and cheered. Then they formed a guard of honor and marched with Hialmar and the princess into the palace and right up to the throne, where the king sat. As soon as the king saw the princess, he rushed up to her and embraced her fondly. Weeping with joy, he was so happy that he proclaimed a day of national rejoicing and ordered all the flags in the kingdom to be flown for a whole week. The king turned to her. You shall be justly rewarded for your brave deed, he said. Taking out his brightly jeweled sword, he tapped Hialmar gently upon each shoulder and said, I dead thee not. Arise, Sir Hialmar. Then followed the royal celebration in Hialmar's honor. The circus grounds were ablaze with colored lanterns, merry-go-rounds, whirled, bands played, everybody sang and danced to the stirring music. The princess danced with Hialmar. On came the parade. There were clowns, performing elephants, jugglers, cowboys. Never was there such excitement. Afterward, Hialmar rode back to the palace, between the king and the princess in a golden coach. The king stood in the palace doorway and clapped his hands. Instantly 100 cooks appeared. They are yours to command, the king told Hialmar. Please bake me the largest cake you ever baked, with frosting 6 inches deep, Hialmar said. And so Hialmar feasted in the royal banquet hall. He sat next to the princess. He had such a wonderful time that he hoped it would never end. But it was getting late. Hialmar's boat was waiting for him at the dock. He thanked the king and kissed the princess on the cheek, then started back. Along canals he sailed, between houses that were fast asleep. Some of them were snoring heavily in great gusty breaths. With each snore they blew the little boat along faster, until it left behind it a trail of white foam. Suddenly, the white foam turned into soft, billowy clouds, and the bubbles became stars. Hialmar was sailing through the sky. As he drew near to one big star, he heard music coming from within. 3 little angels were singing out of hymn books. Hialmar thought they were the sweetest voices he had ever heard. He looked over at the bright moon that hung like a huge yellow lantern in the sky. Someone was standing on a ladder, polishing its face. Hialmar walked over toward it to see who it could be. It was Ole Lukoie. I didn't expect to see you here, said Hialmar. TM always here at this time of night, replied Ole. If I didn't keep the moon and the stars polished, nobody would ever see them. All, they get rusty so quickly out in the night air. There must be millions of stars in the sky. Hialmar said, I wonder you have time to finish them all before morning. It keeps me pretty busy, Ole agreed. The stars aren't so bad. I can do them 2 at a time, but polishing this moon is hard work. Sometimes when I get a little
black
behind,
as midnight.
I do
He was imitating
have
rain.
time to finish it
I
all.
can wait to turn
That's
the
why you
line.
often see only part of it shining. Hialmar stepped back to admire the brilliant shine
Now,
Ole
you
was
wait here
putting on the
where to
moon's
dinner.
face.
You be a
As he
good
did
little
so, his
lamb,
foot
and maybe
slipped
we'll
off
win a
the
prize later on, you and
edge of the
I.
cloud,
Bob,
and he tumbled
black as
headlong.
midnight.
Into
He was
space,
going to the rain, begging
down
way
through
to turn
layer
the
upon
line.
layer of fleecy.
Now you wait here where
Clouds he
Denner.
fell.
You be a
He saw
good
the
little
top of his
lamb, and
house.
maybe we'll win a prize
Coming
later
up at
on,
him,
you and
he
I.
braced himself.
Now you wait
Then,
here where Denner. You
crash.
be a good little lamb, and
Hialmar
maybe we'll
sat
win a
up.
prize
He was
later
right
on,
back
you
in
and
the middle of the picture frame. He looked into the room. Ole was already there. He was arguing
Now you wait here where
with the
Denner.
portrait
You
of
be a good
Hialmar's
little lamb, and
great-grandfather.
maybe we'll win a prize
On the
later on,
wall.
you and I.
Disgraceful, I call it. His great-grandfather was saying, wagging his finger angrily at Ole. You're old enough to know better than to take a little boy out of his bed and keep him away
Now you wait here where
most of the night.
You be a good little lamb,
And you're old
maybe
enough
we'll
to
win
know
a
that
prize
every
later on, you and I.
little boy
Now,
in the
you
world
wait here, Danny.
loves
I'm going to look
come
around
with
at the
me.
fair. You be a good
On
little
an
lamb,
adventure,
and maybe we'll
Ole
win a
shot
prize
back.
later on, you and
With
I.
that, he snatched up his umbrella and stalked out of the window. Hialmar was so sleepy as he sat dangling his legs over the edge of the picture frame that he
Now
paid
you
little
wait here where
attention to the
Denner.
argument.
You be a good little lamb,
He
and maybe
yawned,
we'll win
then
a
climbed
prize
out of the
later on,
frame
you and I.
and
Now
slipped
you wait here
quietly
where
back into
Denner.
bed.
You be
In
a
2
good
minutes,
little lamb, and maybe we'll
he
win
was
a
sound
prize
asleep.
later on, you and I.